Stocks continue to trade with a downward bias, with declines far outpacing advances. All sectoral indices slip into the red while pain worsens in the broader market. Adani Group's Ambuja Cement is set to acquire 46.8% in Orient Cement from promoters and other stakeholders at an equity valuation of Rs 8,100 crores. The deal triggers an open offer to the shareholders of Orient Cement and sparks speculation over more M&A in the sector. Hyundai Motor India makes history by debuting on Indian stock exchanges after the country's biggest IPO. But the stock lists at a discount to the offer price as analysts remain divided on the growth prospects. The global CEO is confident of the growth and sees more capital investments in India. SEBI member Ashwini Bhatia says India shouldn't be proud of wearing the crown of the largest F&O volume market in the world. He advises investors to approach equities seriously with an eye on wealth creation, to be wary of SME IPOs, an area the regulator is preparing a discussion paper on. Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18 and I'm Vinny Motiwala. Look at the markets, not much of an exciting day because the Nifty as of now is trading at the day's lowest point, down 0.7%, 24,000. Around that 600 mark. 597 is what the Nifty is trading at. When you're looking at it, sensex 2 is performing in line there and down almost 0.7% in a trade. Other than that, let's look at what we're seeing in terms of top losers today for the Nifty 50. We have M&M, SBI, L&T and Reliance. That's the one which is dragging the Nifty 50 today in terms of the point contribution that comes in. Broader markets, that is underperforming clearly the benchmark indices. So Nifty Midcap down almost 2%, small cap down 3.25%. So a sharp fall in the broader markets is what we're looking at. PSU banks and Nifty Realty, those are the top sectoral losers today. Clear pressure there. Other than that, some trends that we're seeing is when you look at shipbuilder stocks. So let's pull up something like a Mascow Dock, Garden Reach, or even Cochin Shipyard. That's seeing a very sharp decline in trade as well. Mascow Dock, Garden Reach, all of them down 8% in trade. Railway stocks too under pressure. RVNL. Look at that. That's down almost 4%. We have Railtail under pressure, Jupiter Wagon, Ircon International, other names in the railway space that are under pressure. Earnings impact, City Union Bank and Varun Beverages managed to hold on to some green after numbers, while in the red we have 361 WAM, Paytm, Union Bank, among other names that are seeing some bit of a pressure due to earnings. But let's move on, and we had a debutant on the D Street today, Hyundai Motor. Those shares are under pressure because there was a tepid listing. Now, shares are listed at a discount of almost 1% that you could say to an issue price. Nomura and Macquarie are bullish on the stock, while we have MK that has initiated coverage with a reduced rating, citing lack of major launches and muted outlook. The global CEO said that they are very confident of the growth and sees more capital investments in the Indian market. The company also has many EV launches planned in the pipeline. Listen in.
We believe with the addition of capacity, which is almost, if you see, 30% capacity addition is happening for HMI in the next 3 years. And this is after a gap of more than 10 years. So I think this is a big moment for the growth of HMI going forward. And we believe that, yes, not only in terms of volume, but this strategy of premiumization, the strategy of adding features, and then, meeting the expectation of the customers will help us to really sustain the volume as well as profitability. We believe that we are in a position to really, grow in line with the market in terms of volume and, of course, always in terms of average selling price to continuously go up.
So if you see, okay, let's see, the market penetration is about 2%, yeah. But we are starting and we are putting the more EVs now. And up to year 2030, we are expecting about 5 EV models running in this market. We are expecting about 10%.
Okay, just a bit more in terms of the Hyundai IPO as well, right? Obviously, it was a bit of a muted move that came in from Hyundai today in terms of the listing that we saw. As of now, the stock is, clearly under pressure. We're seeing 4% downtake. It listed at almost 1% downtake. Now it's down 3 to 4%. And this is the largest IPO that we're seeing coming in for the Indian markets. And when you're looking at it, LIC was the biggest one, then came in Hyundai Motors. So yes, keep an eye out on Hyundai Motors. Going forward, we will keep an eye out on that. Let's look at quickly, what we're seeing in terms of the real estate names as well, because there's some clear pressure coming in on the real estate names. Let's pull up something like a macro tech developer that's under pressure. We have even something like an Oberoi Realty. We're keeping an eye out on all those real estate names because Godrej Properties also, let's keep an eye out on that. We'll be reporting its numbers also. So that is something to watch out for. Other than that, I want to talk about Amber Enterprises. Yesterday, we saw the stock up almost 20%. The company is expected to report its numbers today. But today, it's a different story. We have seen that, yesterday, the run-up that we saw today seems like that correction is again coming ahead of its numbers today. The stock as of now is down 12.7%. So there's some bit of a pressure. We'll watch out for what comes out in terms of numbers for this one. But nothing much of an excitement that we're seeing today in the stock price. But let's look at what the broader markets. I want to highlight something in terms of the broader markets as well and where they are headed. So as of now, we're seeing that, the Nifty Midcap is clearly under pressure. And that is something that we're watching out for because every time we see that underperformance continues and comes into the Nifty Midcap side, we've seen NBFCs also that today are under pressure. So keep an eye out on that. IT is the only one which was flip-flopping between the red and the green. Not much of an excitement that. But on that note, I think we'll just slip into a very short break. And after the break, we'll bring you what's happening in the world of cements, the cement sector consolidation. That seems like it's continuing because Adani Group's Ambuja Cement is acquired Orient Cement, some percent of stake there. So more details on that after the break. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. And like we promised, we do have Nigel joining with us to tell us what's happening in the cement sector consolidation that is continuing in the cement space. And Adani Group-owned Ambuja Cement has acquired 46.8% stake in Orient Cement. Nigel, what does this mean for Ambuja Cement as well as Orient Cement? What are we seeing in terms of valuation here as well?
Well, another big cement deal has been announced. Ambuja Cement is set to acquire close to 47% stake in Orient Cement. The sellers include the current promoter as well as some public shareholders. Now, this acquisition triggers an open offer. That's for around 26% from the public shareholders. The transaction is done at around 8,100 crores at a price of around 395 rupees per share. And Ambuja says the transaction will be fully funded via internal accruals. The deal is done at a valuation of roughly around $114 per ton. Remember, Orient Cement is also virtually debt-free. But the big question is, how does it help the acquirer, that's Ambuja Cement? Well, it increases their pan-India market share by close to around 2% as they add 8.5 million tons of operational capacity and also 8.1 million tons of ready-to-execute projects as well. In addition to this, they also get access to high-quality limestone mines in Rajasthan, and that can support an additional 6 million tons of capacity in North India. They also get access to Orient Cement's waste heat recovery system, the renewable energy capacity as well, and that's what will help in cost savings. Now, Ambuja Cement consolidated capacity has scaled up rapidly from around 68 million tons at the time of the takeover, with big acquisitions like Sanghi, Penna, and now Orient Cement, all of them getting added to the kitty. And now Adani Cement's consolidated capacity has moved to around 97.5 million tons in this month, and it will gradually move to around 100 million tons by the end of this fiscal. Ambuja Cement has laid out the guidance for Orient Cement. They aim to achieve EBITDA per ton of around 1,500 rupees per ton. That's by FY28. They're also targeting 15% ROCE. Well, to wind things down, how does it place and how does it work out for the industry as well as both the parties? It's a win-win-win for all stakeholders. Why do I say that? Ambuja Cements, well, they expand towards their goal of around 140 million tons, so they gradually move towards that. Orient Cement has been struggling to scale up in terms of volumes and profitability, so they get a stronger promoter. And for the industry on the whole, well, consolidation It works better when you have a fewer number of players with larger capacity. So I say it's a win-win-win for all the parties.
Thank you so much for that, Nigel. A win-win-win for all the parties, keeping an eye out on that. But speaking at the Morningstar conference today, we had the SEBI whole-time member Ashwini Bhatia, who raised concerns over the frenzy in the FNO space and said that FNO cannot be a national pastime. He also commented about the progress being made with regards to the regulation in the SME IPO space. So listen in to what he had to say.
India accounts for the largest volume of F&O globally. We are number one, and globally also more than 50% of the F&O volume happens in India. This is a crown we do not wish to wear. F&O cannot be and should not be a national pastime, which actually means that savings of retail participants move into the pockets of institutional hands. So just look at the numbers. We have told you 3 years, 1,80,000 crores, and it has been losses for 93% of the investors. 1% make 99%. So your odds are terrible. But the surprising part from SEBI angle is this. The moment we came out with the latest regulation, which kick in sometime in November, investors are protesting that, lot size 5 से 15 क्यों कर दिया? Investors are protesting कि आपने सिर्फ एक ही expiry हफ्ते में क्यों कर दी? Investors are also protesting upfront क्यों कर रहे हो, margining and so on and so forth. But finally, this is becoming systemic. As I said, this F&O cannot be a national pastime. You need to do serious investing. We want India to be prosperous. Wealth is being created very, very fast. And I think investors should participate in the wealth creation that is happening in the country. SME listings are closely monitored by exchanges and SEBI to ensure they don't engage in irrational exuberance, price manipulation, or fraudulent trade practices. We are working on a discussion paper on SME IPOs that should be coming out soon. But what we have seen is pretty disturbing. The way retail participation is happening, the number of times IPO issues are oversubscribed, the way market making happens, the way underwriting happens, and obviously we don't feel very comfortable about what's going on.
Okay, a small programming note as we slip into a short break. As we prepare to ring in the festivities this Diwali, tune into CNBC TV18's Market Movers Forum 3 p.m. onwards on 24th of October, featuring guests like Ramdev Agarwal, S. Naren, Nilesh Shah and others to help your portfolio prosper this Diwali. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch on CNBC TV18, and like you can see the flashes at your bottom of the screen, Alliance has indicated that they want to actively consider, getting out of the JV that they had with Bajaj and exiting from the JV. This is the word that's coming in from Bajaj Finserv. We will be keeping an eye out on more updates on this front, but as of now, this is what is the indication coming in, that Alliance has indicated that they are actively considering exiting the JV. And this is a decade-old JV that we're keeping an eye out on. As of now, Bajaj Finserv a bit under pressure, down 1%, but that's the market trend that we're seeing. But let's move on, and the Indian market has seen a spat of FIIs selling this month. who have withdrawn $10 billion from India in October itself. The month of October is now also to track to see the record monthly FII selling numbers. My colleague Prashant caught up and got in touch with Manish Chokhani to discuss the impact of the selling by FIIs and the slowdown that one is seeing in consumption, the effects of India's K-shaped recovery and more. Listen to a slice of that conversation.
A bit like 2008, except the base is very different.
Much larger.
We're 3.5 times of that time. And also the fact that there's a lot of domestic money, otherwise this would have been a deeper correction.
Yeah.
But having said that, foreigners own 15-16% of India. So it's about $800 billion at least of stock which they have. So they've sold 10 billion. It's like poor chaps have traded 1% of what they hold. We shouldn't be grudging them that. In the context, in the last 6 months alone, we've raised $30 billion in our markets, of which 15 has come from companies raising it for building new capacities or whatever.
Right.
But 15 has actually been promoter and private equity selling. So if this sort of selling can get absorbed, it creates confidence that this is actually a two-way street. I'm not trapped like I'm in China or in Africa. The expansionist tendencies in businesses are going to come out of Asia now, largely, or maybe the Middle East. So the Middle East money, I think, is still coming with the sovereign funds and so on. But unfortunately, the Asians, and especially the Japanese, have still not come in big force. Portfolio flows from the West, FDI from Asia and Middle East. I think there will be significant money coming from there.
Okay. Let's move on. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi today begins his two-day visit to Russia, where he will attend the BRICS summit in Kazan. This will be the first summit following the expansion of the group last year. The development of Global South reforms in the multilateral organizations like the UN, climate change and economic cooperation are expected to be on the agenda. PM Modi will also hold bilateral talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin and leaders from other BRIC countries. Moving on to some domestic news and news from Bengaluru, where heavy overnight rains has led to waterlogging in several low-lying areas. The weather department has also forecasted showers for Tuesday. As a precautionary measure, the Bengaluru Municipal Corporation has asked schools to remain shut. Meanwhile, the Karnataka government has assured it will provide compensation for losses caused by the heavy rainfall. Okay, and let's move on. And as we slip into a break, the biggest market experts will be joining us in CNBC-TV18 studios. And this year, we are giving you a chance to meet your favorite market experts. 5 super fans will get a chance to visit CNBC-TV18 studios on Thursday to interact with the biggest market experts. Write to us on our social media handles, tagging #25 years of CNBC TV18 to take your chance to meet the CNBC TV18 Market Movers Forum at 3 p.m. this Thursday.